In 2024, I am going to compose and activate one sigil a day for the full 365 days of the year. Why, you might ask? How, you might ask? Maybe even, can I join along in this madcap scheme, Gordon, you might ask? Well, let's find out. It's December. This is the first beach day of the year. I know for most of you those words don't go together, but they do down here in the Southern Hemisphere. And because it's the end of the year, I've got myself thinking about, as we tend to do, next year. And what we're going to do. And how we're going to play with it. And what magic we might bring to it, I suppose. And this idea emerged from a recent live stream. Like, what if we do a sigil a day for the whole year? And I've kicked around the rules and the parameters with some of the premium members. Would it be a premium member in the exercise? No. But they're a very valuable brain trust to bounce some ideas up. And we've landed on this as a fun, light little project that is zero obligation, that you can join or not. We had some years back real success with this model with the Fortune Fool's Lenormand creation process, where we just start a little project quietly for people who may or may not resonate with it. And if you do resonate, join along. This is the sigil a day project. This is the sigil a day idea for 2024. And the goal behind Fortune's Fools was to have a quiet, gentle, personal exploration of fortune telling rather than divination. In this case, if the sigil a day project has a goal, it's good to return to magic every single day, to gently, quietly come back to the actual doing of magic on a daily basis. Because I'm sure you can appreciate it, even for regular or advanced practitioners, the world's fucking crazy, life is fucking crazy, and you can blink and it's like, oh shit, I literally did no magic for a month. I have clients, so I'm in a blessed situation of combining work and magic, but I remember it well. I remember, and the funny thing about it is, right, there'll be some disaster at work and you go several weeks and like, oh, you know, I'm not, the dating situation's disastrous, the work situation's terrible, and somehow not doing magic for a few weeks or a month makes you forget, wait a minute, I know how to do magic? So the goal in that sense is just a return to and attending upon enchantment on a daily basis. There are personal goals, potentially more developmental, more in the direction of individuation, that may be appealing. And the first is to open up desire and noticing. It's been a topic of considerable interest of mine for years, the role of desire in the cosmos. I've done workshops in New York about it. It's a big part of a lot of the premium member courses at runesoup.com. And this process, I mean, your first thought is like 365 sigils a day. I don't think I want that much. Well, that's sort of the point. That's sort of the point, isn't it? Now, each one doesn't need to be a yacht, a bigger yacht, Bill Gates's yacht. There's only so many yachts you can want or have. It's more about attending upon what is alive within you and what seeks to express itself in the cosmos through you. The best way to get an understanding of that is in the doing. So it's about opening up that notion of desire, and it's about noticing, attending. Oh, there are actually some things I want. Oh, my desire, which I consider to be sacred, is pulling me in this direction. To be able to cast 365 sigils is not just thinking of 365 things you want. It's noticing the arrival of 365 targets. That's quite the calisthenic regime. And obviously another part of that is, and I will link the video up below, the discussion on the momentum tunnel, to, at a minimum, create 365 enchantments in a year, is to shift your momentum tunnel. It's to shift the probabilities, the total probabilities of your life, which may be barreling in this direction, pivoting them this way somewhat, pivoting them around towards more preferable outcomes. I think I mentioned in that video, magicians or shamans are people who turn the possible into the probable. So a long-term practice like this moves it in that direction. It gently shifts it over time, gently shifts the total, let's say, beneficial probabilities, it's not quite that, of your life in the direction that you might want. Another outcome or goal, which was really alive for me and had strong resonance with the premium members as well, is to get good at tighter rituals, right? So obviously if you're going to do 365 of these motherfuckers, it's not going to be full regalia, it's not going to be a 45-minute goetic opening, not the circles and the incense and so on. I mean, you have more time than I do. Instead, the calling is to smaller, tighter ceremonies, right? Like you'll have a whole year to hone which spells get you into that ambiance, which spells get you into that mode fastest, which invocations, which prayers, and similarly which beings, right? So if you have felt a calling to certain beings that are implicated in practical enchantment that you haven't really worked with before, 365 days is enough time to give it a full month per being. Like, oh yeah, me and like Hermes Chthonios, there was something in it, but it's not quite there. One of the early junior mistakes when it comes to doing magic in general is you may be interested in a particular being, but that particular being may not be interested in you. Here is a nice embodied experimental way of finding that resonance. And over the course of the year, we will discuss and share different shorter, tighter rituals that work. Because, I mean, 365 days is a long time. And when you think about what you have to do over the course of a year, there's funerals, there's sick days, there's work travel, there's all kinds of stuff, right? You're gonna want it, you're gonna want to be able to get it down, the actual activation, to as short as possible, but still efficacious. That's the tension, finding that sweet spot. Something else we discussed amongst the membership was, this is quite a good exercise whether you're a beginner and whether you're not a beginner. I don't want to say advanced, it's too whatever, whether you're further along in your journey with magic. Because beginners, obviously it makes sense, you're going to get good at getting your target statements right, turning those target statements into sigils, finding the feel of magic, working out which ones, which beings, what you have a propensity for, what you don't, all of that kind of cool stuff over the course of a year. At the more developed or experienced level, this is a masterclass in desire coherence, because coming back to that idea of how many yachts do you actually want, to achieve those true goals in life, you have to pick more or less one thing, don't you, and go after it. At the beginner level, it's about finding, oh, I enchanted to see a celebrity, or to get like checkouts that actually have humans on them rather than AI. That's all good as you build up the skill. When you're a little bit further along, you don't want to on one day say, I want a promotion at this job, and then on the second day I want to travel the world for a year, and then on the third day I want to foster 5 children, and all of these things that will generate cross currents, not just with each other, but with what it is you've come here to do, right? What is yours to do in this cosmos. So a seemingly simple exercise, like a sigil a day for 365 days, is going to invite you to transform and develop, matched to the level of skill or experience, again, you know what I mean, that you are in fact at. So for beginners, combining this practice with the Foundations of Magic and the Sigil Magic course, which is in the premium member area, you don't have to. But if you do, that's a very powerful one-year development plan. At the more advanced end, it's about the coherence of desire and a longer-term study in what's nice to have and what's must-have as we move through success and results and so on. Now, as for the rules, there don't appear to be too many so far. If you're interested in playing along, you don't need to do this, you can just do it yourself. But if you're interested in playing along, we will be sharing our findings and observations and questions in the Rune Soup Telegram group, which will be below. So that's a public group, that's not a members group. So anyone can join. So that's the first thing. In terms of rules or parameters, the most immediate one is like, yeah, so I'm getting married in April, I'm probably not going to be doing a sigil, you know. The most important rule is there is a wash. So you can get to the end of the week and do 7. Like anything else that is best done as a daily practice, do try and do it daily, but come on now. Let's not let perfect be the enemy of good. A wash is completely fine. And if anything, it's going to teach you the difference in activation between a shoal of sigils and one sigil on its own. So that's completely fine. Now, the only other rules or parameters are like the pirate code, more like guidelines. What's so powerful about sigil magic, which is a very modern technique as we play with it now, developed in the mid-80s. It interfaces, because it is so blank, with, let's call it real magic, very well. Sigils work really well if you want to experiment with Orphic hymns as activation. They work really well if you want to experiment with timing and so on. And the timing is a good one because one of the sources of like coming up for ideas for targets is going to be to look in the direction of time. Planetary days, solar seasons, and so on. You can actually, if you were so inclined, do one a day, a dip for a different decan, for the sun moving through a particular sign, for the sun moving through a particular house in your own chart. There are all kinds of ways that it can interface, and why sigil magic is so powerful in the development of modern magicians is that clean interface. Well, you want to get good at decans. It's like, well, what are you going to do with them? I'm not burying someone in Middle Egypt. Well, sigils, you know? So that's the final parameter, not necessarily a rule, is we will be experimenting with it as an interface with proper magic. Anyway, just wanted to put this video together as we head into the holiday season, as I head into beach season. I know that's weird, but it is. And there'll be more. There'll be more on the YouTube channel. There'll be more in the Telegram group. And just drop in yourself and see how this feels for you. Like, yeah, I'm up for that. I'm up for the transformation that comes with doing one enchantment a day and getting kind of a tight activation ceremony down pat, and maybe meeting some new spirit friends. Zero obligation, nothing, no hidden fees or costs, zero obligation. It's just a game of making the world a bit more magical. That's where I want to leave this. It seems to me that more magical people, more ethical magical people achieving more ethical magical results makes this universe better. Joseph Campbell knew that, which he learned from Jung, of course, that the hero's journey, the idea of going out into the world and returning back to whatever your village happens to be with the story of that change, if not necessarily the riches, is what keeps the cosmos vital. So, and you'll have the invitation, or you will be forced, frankly, by magic to encounter the tension between what your desires and whether you consider them too small or unimportant as the world gets very serious. You will not get to the end of next year having launched 365 sigils without a transformative encounter with the idea that desire is sacred and what is yours to do includes expressing those desires in the cosmos. So stick around, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and join the Telegram group if you wish to join us.